Hey team, welcome back. So, we are gonna keep going or keep moving forward in our journey to putting together better error responses from the server whenever we try to pass on an invalid project object. All right. So, the state that I wanna reach, and I'm just gonna type here real quick. I want for our JSON response to actually describe the field and the error message. And if we have more than one, obviously, I want our JSON response to be just like this. Comma, you can have a separate one and so forth. Please, you don't have to write this down. This is just, I just want to show you what I want to accomplish. And because this is going to be a lot easier for the React side to actually grab and display on the screen whenever we're trying to pass bad data or null data to the server. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is that we want to explore a little more what this binding result has to offer. So the first thing that I did here was to go to the documentation and read upon what we can extract or what we can get out of the binary result. And for those of you that are already getting a little frustrated because I'm pulling documentation, it has always been a historical peeve among students whenever an instructor pulls documentation in a video tutorial to be like, I'm not, paying for a course to read documentation. I can do that on my own. Well, all due respect, let me get a little bit in your face and tell you that it's always good to know how to traverse the documentation because the video tutorials will cover so much and technology always keeps moving forward, and you're going to get to a point in your career where you're going to need to find answers quickly, and sometimes looking at documentation is the way to do it. And actually, the reason I'm pulling this is that because the first time I learned how to do this, it was because I found this in documentation. And I not only want to share the knowledge with you, but I also want you to know where I got it from. So this is a very important skill for a developer to be comfortable looking at documentation, okay? So all due respect, I don't want to be so blunt, but sometimes, you have to tell it as it is, and this is something that it's very important for a developer. So this binary result interface, it has a lot of methods that are inherited from the errors interface, right? And one of them, and I actually took the time to review all of this, but then I noticed that the one we probably gonna want to use is the get field errors, which actually gives you a list. It returns a list of all the errors that you are getting out of the validation exercise, right? So every time this gets validated, this is actually going to return a list of errors. And this is actually really good because that means that we can perhaps take a look at that list, and then we can perhaps traverse through it and extract exactly what we want out of this, thereby creating a response that's more that it's closer to what I want to accomplish here. All right, so for this, now I know the result will have that method. So what I want to do here is I want to pass it, I want the JSON body to actually return result.get field errors. And as you can see here, it's a list of type field error. So that means that our response entity needs to be a list of type field error. All right. So this is very important. And now we're going to restart the server, and we're going to try and pass bad data to our server again. And I think that we're going to see, okay, the server's running. We're going to see an error very similar to the first one that we got. And there you have it. It's actually exactly the same. it basically gives you a little more description on what it is that is wrong with the object. Now, if you go back to what I was telling you before, I want to know the field in question, and I want to get the message regarding or related to the field. I want to see description, and then see description, the project description is required. Okay, so since we're getting a list here, our best bet is going to be to traverse through that list. Okay, and since this is an object, I'm pretty sure that it has getters, and I'm pretty sure that it has setters, right? Because these are of type field error. And let me just do some a quick review here of the public class field error. And yeah, you can get the field, and I'm pretty sure if you can get the field, you can get the message as well. So this is really helpful. Default message, perfect. Okay, perfect. So we should be able to extract out of here what we need in order for us to build our response the way we want it. Okay, so it's also extending object error. So anyway, now let's see what we can extract out of our field error list. Now, the first thing that I wanna do is that, since I know that I want both, and this is actually going to be a really interesting use case for you guys, because I want the key to be the field, and I want the value to be the message. See where I'm going? And again, I just want to type this down for you again. So I basically want my JSON response to, instead of returning all this information here, I want my JSON response to be like, this is the field, and this is the error that you're getting, the error message. Okay, this is exactly what I want to see, and this is a key value pair. So a good way to build a key value pair is to use the map data structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a map of type string and string, and we're going to call it the error map. And right now I'm violating a rule of mine, which is not to put so much logic in the controller, but don't worry, we're going to fix that. We're going to refactor this probably in the next video. Remember, it also happens that you're just working and trying to make things work. Once you get everything working, then you refactor it and you clean that up. That's a normal thing to do when you are doing professional development. Okay, so now that we have our error map, we're going to extract the field and the message from the error, from the field error, so that we can then display a map that contains all the key value pairs related to the errors that we might be getting from the invalid object. Okay, so for this, we're going to traverse through the get field errors list that we have here. So instead of passing this, what we're going to do is that we're going to traverse through it and actually extract what we need. Okay, so I'm just going to do a for loop here, and all the errors that we're going to get are of type error field, or I'm sorry, field error. And then we're going to traverse through the result get field errors. All right, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to add those key value pairs to our error map by using its method put. And basically what we're going to do is the error, and we are going to see what getters we get here. So see, we get the field, and if we go back to here to the response, we get the field. Okay, so we're gonna put get field, and then the other one is gonna be error get the default message, which, as you can see, we get here default message and the field. So basically we're using their getters to get those. Very simple stuff. I know this is the first time for a lot of you doing something like this, so you know, I'm trying to do this nice and easy so you guys get the context of what I'm trying to do. Now we're returning something different. We're not returning a list anymore. We're returning a map of type string and string. So basically I need to change the return type here, or the object type here, to map string string, and then we're obviously returning the error map if we have any issues. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and restart the server and see what things look like now that we have done this. Now we're gonna do two tests. We're gonna try and get all the errors, but then in the end we're gonna make sure that we can still persist to the database, because sometimes when you try and set off too many constraints, then what ends up happening is that you end up breaking the actual positive test, or the actual positive action that you want the system to have, right? So we're gonna send an invalid object, and there you have it. This is a lot better than what we were getting. You know, now we have the field, the description, the project identifier, and the exactly one-to-one the error message that we set, the error messages that we set up here. And this is really good. But again, I don't wanna you know, chant the victory without trying this. And then project description, I'm just going to try this again, and as you can see, I'm pretty sure you noticed that I cheated there a little bit, and I literally copy pasted this so that I can get these attributes without having to type them down again. ID 04, 03, and then project name, and now if we pass it a valid object, it actually works. Let me just go to the database and make sure that it in fact worked, because after that little hiccup that I had a few videos ago, I just want to double check, make sure that you guys are getting good information and good code from me, and there you have it. So now it persisted properly, and it all looks good. One last thought before I wrap up this lecture is that, first of all, there's, in my opinion and for my taste, there is already too much logic on this controller. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we're going to have users, we're going to have project tasks, and those are like two objects that we're going to be wiring up later in the course, and those are objects that are going to have similar type of validation, just like this one, in which we're going to want to extract this as well. So not only do I want to take this out of here, this logic out of the controller, but I also want to do some thinking for the future, because whenever we have an object that has validation, we're pretty much going to end up wiring up the same thing if we want the same type of response that that I set up here for invalid objects, right? So since we're gonna do this this way, then I think a refactor should happen here so that we can then reuse this code over and over again, right? So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to the next lecture.